is asleep amidst the trees. Bats all a swaying in the breeze. But one soul lies anxious, wide awake, fearing all manner of ghouls, hags, and wraiths.
Nice tune. Been a while since I heard it last.
Folk have forgotten it.
Got other things on their mind.
Things like me.
They paid me for you.
So yeah, Witcher 3, my first rodeo into the world of RPGs. I'm actually super happy that I got this game and stepped out of my comfort zone. It's turned out to be one of the best games I've ever played.
We had to fucking prod you to like do it.
We did.
This game has like the literary aspects to it. So
Which,
like you watch like say Game of Thrones or something that's based on a book, and it's usually like a diet version of that. Where this game feels like there's such an obscene amount of depth. Like you get so much out of it, especially if you like read all the books you pick up, and like do like all the side quests. You pick up on like all these little things.
one of the things the game has, for those of you who haven't played it, each time you load up the game, or each like, there's very few like cutscene, well, loading scenes, we should say. But when there is a loading screen, it's actually narrating the story up until that point to kind of get you up to speed, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I thought that
so
was
it's like
awesome.
if you haven't played for a while and then you come back to it.
In a time past, our world intertwined with another through an upheaval scholars call the conjunction of the spheres. The gods allowed
It took me a while to realize that they were actually telling you the story up until that point.
Yeah,
I didn't-
and there was even like slight changes too from
Always, yeah. Even the slightest thing changes as far as
Yeah.
like main story goes. It adds on to it.
Let's talk about the story a little bit, where we're not going to go into too many spoilers or anything like that, but basically the game just picks up where Witcher 2 Assassin of Kings left off, which I haven't played.
It's a few years after, I believe.
So 3 starts off, he's sitting, he's at like a campfire with Vesemir, and he has a dream about Ciri being in trouble. She's being chased by the Wild Hunt, and then then Yennefer contacts him. Yennefer's his love interest. So Ciri's basically their adopted daughter. She's a Witcher in training, and she's basically practicing without Geralt's permission. And then this whole thing he's having is like a flashback or like a dream sequence, and he brings Ciri back to Vesemir, who's the teacher, and Geralt's friend. But then the Wild Hunt, which is like this army of, looks like ghosts at this point in the beginning of the game, they kidnap her.
Which you actually fight, I believe, in the first Witcher game. You do fight a member of the Wild Hunt.
Do you?
Yeah. I thought you fight him like on a mountain and shit. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then Geralt wakes up. He realizes that he had a bad dream, and he's still when the game starts out, he's been traveling to meet up with Yennefer, with Vesemir, but he had this vision, so that's what sort of sets him off on this quest to find Ciri and make sure everything is okay.
All right. So it's been 6 months. I just looked it up.
That's what it was?
Yeah, I knew it was a time gap because the Nilfgaardians are invading at the end of 2, but they haven't actually like taken over shit yet. And then in this game, they've basically totally colonized like everything, and they're like now there's like dealing with problems of occupying these areas as opposed to invading.
Yeah, well, one of the cool things about the game, like aside from obviously the main story, there was this narrative going on about the war.
War's not exactly going our way.
We have a side.
The Northern Realms.
Radovid's realms, don't you mean? Temeria and Edirn are no more.
Radovid's pledged to restore the old borders as soon as he wins the war.
Believe that?
Gotta believe something. It's what keeps us going.
That you have the North versus the Nilfgaardian Empire, and then you have the Redanian army. So it's basically like a war of 3 armies.
And
I would say that conflict is pervasive throughout all of them.
Yeah.
It is, right? Because this war starts off in 2, probably.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the basic gist of the story. It was very true to the books, I guess. I didn't read the books at all, but you could
Not
tell
even that
it
it was true to the books. It felt like it had like depth. It felt like
It had literary elements in the story.
It just felt
too.
like it was really well written. Like it felt like a fucking book. Like
Yeah, it didn't feel like a normal video game would. Where I mean, some games are great, obviously, as far as dialogue and stuff, but this you could tell was on a different level. You know, along with the main narrative, there's just a fucking shit ton of side stuff that you can do where doesn't really. I mean, some of them intertwine with the story. A lot of them are like kind of little standalone, like one-off, like you know, Witcher contracts or little side things you're doing. But the cool thing about the main narrative is that every mission has, like, from what I could tell, at least 4 or 5 different paths it could take to sort of change the story. There are 3 endings to the game, 3 ultimate endings based on the decisions you make throughout the game. And it's cool because that adds a whole nother level of playability. Not just in the storytelling, but, like, you know, it's not easy to sit and play a game for 12 days, whatever I did put into it. But, you know, I would easily go back and replay it to see some of the other endings or some of the other types of ways the plot will kind of pan out, you know?
This game, when you make a decision,
It really
the decisions are so nuanced that, like,
It really matters, yeah.
Yeah.
they're so nuanced that you really, like, however you feel, you can answer.
There was a particular mission. You guys are actually close to it from where you guys are in the story, where I had a series of decisions to make, and I sat on the screen where, you know, it gives you your conversations, like what you could say next.
Yeah.
I sat there for like 15 minutes straight, and it's not an exaggeration, of just like thinking of what I should do.
Dude, that happened to me
Because-
too. That happened to me too. When I was talking with that girl, that sorceress chick,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
Where it's like a pretty monumental point of the game.
Yeah.
As
There's a-
far
there's
as
a-
like
there's
what
a
you can do.
There's a few different points like that, but I can tell you from experience in not playing the first one, or the first or second one, rather, that this game does a really good job of getting you up to speed to where I didn't even, like, it never even dawned on me throughout this game that, like, I was like, oh, fuck, who the hell is, like, there's a few points where I was like, who's this guy, or who's this, or who's this?
No, for sure. But I'm saying, like, you know, definitely playing the first 2 games, it's gonna have a little more relevance, and you're gonna you're gonna appreciate the storyline more.
Definitely
so.
gonna appreciate it because when they talk about Radovid and stuff in the beginning, like if you don't know who that
Yeah.
is, you're kind of like, what the fuck? But eventually, I'm
Right.
sure you meet him.
But yeah, overall, I thought the story was great. I mean, it kept me engaged the whole time. I was like, I cared about all the characters in the game, and it was cool to be able to like make decisions and see how my decisions would like affected these people. I guess in a sense.
Well, you just really feel like Geralt, or Geralt. I mean, you
Yeah,
really
you
feel
do.
like him. Like they do a really good job of putting you in his shoes. You do all the shit he's supposed to do, especially when you're fighting. The fighting this time around feels amazing. Like when you're using like the signs and shit, you feel like a fucking Jedi.
Yeah,
the-
he's a
the fu-
badass, man.
He really is such a fucking pimp, Geralt. Like, not only does this dude have every girl in the land like wet over him, but he just like can fuck anybody up. He just doesn't.
Geralt.
Yo, the girls love this guy. I'm just gonna go on record and say I'm Team Yennefer. I don't know about you guys. Yennefer, and this is gonna be a little bit of a spoiler, but nothing too bad. She's the first video game vagina I've ever seen.
Oh,
It
you
was
see Gash in the game?
A little bit, yep.
That's
It was
amazing.
It was beautiful.
Now I have to beat it.
It was like this angelic glow came off my TV. It was great. I felt like such a nerd. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I felt like a nerd video game player that never been laid before, but it was great. So you talking about the fighting before we went on this rant about vaginas and stuff. The fighting I thought was fucking great. It was really super fun to like have that sword and like have like the way like it flowed very very well. Almost like before this, like I would always look at like the Batman fighting.
Yeah,
from, like,
I was
the
gonna say
Arkham
that
games.
it's they take the Batman fighting in that it's very simple but nuanced, where like you
Yeah.
can, depending on your timing and like how you roll and like do moves together, you can do really cool shit.
It's like the Arkham fighting had sex with like the Assassin's Creed sword fighting and like had a baby and like it was like a perfect child.
Right, but it's like way harder to parry than like Assassin's Creed. You just hit Y.
Yeah, no, it's way harder.
But if you
The
can,
fight-
if you learn how to parry and like do the finishers and build adrenaline and stuff, it's just so gangster. It's like gangster as fuck, chopping bitches' heads off in that game.
Yeah,
my
it
God.
is. I'm assuming you guys both went more of the sword fighting route when it came
Hell
to the
yeah.
skill tree.
Magic's for pussies.
Yeah, see, okay, so when I first started playing the game, because I was so overwhelmed with like everything that I was experiencing for the first time, I didn't really know like where to
To put the points.
where to allocate my skills.
You can always reset them though.
Yeah, I don't know.
But,
I put a lot into magic.
No, magic is awesome, dude. Especially if you get like Igni and like the shield and stuff up.
Yeah, I relied very heavily on the sword fighting, and I used Igni and I used the shield, the Quen shield.
Yeah, Quen is like my lifeblood in that game, dude.
That's pretty much all I used.
Is Quen the shield? I forget. Yeah.
Quen is like very essential later on in the game. Like
especially
like,
with the knockback and stuff, it's awesome.
Yeah, if you're not using Quen, like
you're fucking up.
It really are fucking up. But like the swords, like I never see that was one of, and it's not a downfall of the game. It gives you a lot of different options to play how you want to play. I just feel like there was like too many options that went unutilized for me anyway, because you're like, there's really no way you can use everything, you know.
Well, is there a max level in the game?
Well, I don't know. That's debatable. I heard there was no level cap, but I'm not really too sure.
Yeah, well, it just gets really hard to accrue experience after a certain point. You know what I mean? It just like doesn't make sense. You can just sit there and kill fucking wyverns till you level up. It's like over and over and over again. Because the quests the quests are really where you get the big chunk of XP.
Yeah, so no doubt, which is a great game.
It's a fucking must buy. If you have a PS4 and you haven't played that game, you're fucking up.
Yeah,
so
there were some issues though that the game has. It's a bit buggy. Okay. There's just some bugs in the game that like none are crazy. There's one that's like a little bit of a game breaker, but like riding the horse riding is like fucking terrible. The thing gets stuck on like all kinds of shit.
Yeah, and you like getting on the fucking horse is like
sometimes
yeah, but I could see like again a year from now, enhanced edition. Oh, everything's.
Yeah. But they've nailed games have nailed horse riding. There's no reason to fuck that up at this point.
That's what I'm saying. Like Assassin's Creed does the horse riding great.
Yeah,
like,
Shadow of the Colossus. That game came out in like 2002.
Red Dead Redemption, horseback riding, probably the best I've ever played.
Yeah, that game was awesome.
But you know that's like one thing. There were some issues with like, I don't know, like certain parts of the environment, like they don't always render very quickly. It's little shit like that. But the one game breaker for me is the fact that there's these mission glitches where sometimes the missions just fail. Like I have a failed mission.
Oh yeah, I have one of those too, and I have no idea what I did to have it fail.
Everything on the list of the mission is all checked off. I did every task I had to do, but I still failed it somehow.
And you can never get that back. Yeah.
Well, unless they fix it, but I don't see. how they would,
I heard that there was some patches for fixes like that, but they stated that if you got past that point, you weren't able to claim the rewards for that quest.
Yeah, it's not even the reward. It just annoys me that it says failed and I didn't fail it. But otherwise, I don't have any issues with the game. I thought it was fucking great. The graphics, I know it's running at like, you know, not maximum fucking quality on the PS4. Graphics are still better than most games I've played recently. You know, like we said, the story's fucking great. The gameplay is great. The action's great. It has a great mix of everything that you could possibly want in a video game. So for me, personally, my rating for this is full price. High full price. For anybody that wants to pick it up, definitely worth $60.
You gotta fucking own it.
Yeah,
like, you gotta
I would say if
you're over the age of 18 and you don't have this game, you're like so stupid.
Yeah. I would say you have to buy this game. It's definitely a must-own. It's probably gonna go down as one of the best RPGs in modern day era, maybe all time.
Definitely Game of the Year nomination.
Yeah, I would say
if not a victory.
And I would say not only is it maybe one of the best RPGs in the recent history, it might be one of the best games in the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would say also in regarding like full price, full price for sure. I would also consider getting it on PC if you can. I can only even dream about the mods that'll come out for this game down the road.
Oh yeah, the mod community probably have a fucking field day with this game if they haven't already.
Yeah, so you know what I mean. So for sure, I would say you have to have this game. It's definitely a game. It's gonna be on all-time lists for sure. Many years from now, we'll still be talking about The Witcher. So
what would you say, George? What would be your rating? Full price?
Hell yeah, full price.
All right, well that should do it. Witcher 3, great game. Go pick it up. $60, $70, whatever it costs. Definitely pick it up. It's worth it. And you know, anybody who plays it, let us know what you think, and hopefully you enjoy it. So, any final thoughts from you guys?
Nothing. It's like a must play. Like I can't stress enough how important it is that you play that game. If you have any like concept of playing video games,
and
if you're a fucking video game nerd and you love video games.
Well, yeah, I mean, even as a casual player, like, pick it up.
I feel like it's more difficult for a casual player just because it's such a cumbersome game. Like, there's so much shit to do.
Yeah, I definitely see that. But, yeah, so that'll do it. Thanks for hanging out with us and listening, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Later.